What is good, YouTube? We're back at it with another video. Today is March 18th. It's right before FOMC. It's currently 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be trading that in about an hour. Just wanted to kind of knock this out real quick. First, this is going to be like a trade recap for the last couple of days of my trading and then what I've been doing as of March because we've had really choppy price action in March so far. It's been very difficult to trade as a continuation trader. So just want to kind of go over a few of those entries and how I ended up handling those positions. Boom. So February ended off the month barely green with only $1,300 profit. It was a decent month in February. I had a lot of green days. I had a red day a little bit bigger than the green ones, so ended up averaging out. Not a bad month considering, I'm kind of turning that corner, getting that profitability, that consistency going. But March has been hell so far, guys. Currently down $1,300 on the month. Out of that, $1,000 on the week. So I'm only going to review the last 4 trading days so you can kind of see what the entry models and the trade thesis has been so far. As you can see, this trade on Nvidia, the note to have here, we ended up following the break and retest on the previous day low on Nvidia. It was a pretty clear entry. I can go ahead and go back to the chart so you can see off of this level. Once we kind of rejected that level, we printed out multiple wicks going into the pre-market low, which kind of gave me that confidence to be able to take this entry. Boom, ended up playing out very well. Also had a lot of continuation. I wasn't trading with enough size to be able to justify kind of holding those runners. So that's basically that trade. SPY kind of same thing here. This was off of the 5-minute low, I believe. Let me go ahead and look. Break and retest on the 5-minute low, followed entry criteria, entered a little bit late. So this one was off of the 5-minute range, break and retest. You can clearly see here. Mark out that first 5-minute candle. Clearly see. So once we kind of got below this 5-minute range, you can clearly see we got some rejections. We got the reclaim under the 5-minute range. Took that break and retest and scaled off into the low here. Wasn't able to get any more off into I wasn't able to get any more off on the continuation because I already scaled out a majority of my position. I was only in 2 contracts, I believe, on this trade, so basically closed out of my full position here. Pretty simple entry model. The 5-minute range break and retest is pretty consistent. You can catch some pretty consistent 1-to-1s and 1-to-2 Rs on those trades. So I would recommend taking a look at that, especially in more volatile conditions that have a little bit more continuation. It's a little bit more difficult in choppier markets, kind of like what we're experiencing right now. Okay, so the first trade I took on Friday was a PLTR. Let's see what this was. This was a 5-minute range high targeting pre-market highs. Could have been more patient. News at 10 a.m. Other than that, very high confidence entry. Emotions were solid at 6.5 out of 10, even after the loss. So see what the entry criteria was on this trade. So basically, 5-minute range high, first 5 minutes of market open. See, we have this level here. We then get strong price action off of this level. My entry was actually after this bullish engulfing candle. And this right here was right. So as soon as the closure on this candle played out, ended up taking the entry here. Got a little bit of continuation, but unfortunately the entry failed. You can see I was targeting high of day, ended up stopping out at a closure at a break below this green candle here. Lost a little bit more than I wanted to on this trade, but considering the risk to reward, it definitely was there. The only reason I didn't love this trade afterwards is because this Qs was actually pretty bearish during this time. So while PLTR was showing all of this strength, it was a little bit of a divergence between this and Qs. So um I feel like it wasn't a very, very high confidence trade because of only that. Other than that, the setup was beautiful. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that one. Move on to Nvidia here. So the Nvidia trade retest the previous day high, strong price action, execution was late, so profits were a little slim. Confidence was high, even though it was even after the small loss, which is good. So let's go ahead and mark out previous day highs here on the hour chart. We got a lot of relative strength compared to the rest of the indices, the rest of the markets on this trade here. So you can see clear, strong price action off of this level. Ended up getting a little bit of a later entry, like I mentioned. Definitely should have taken it off of this level or off of this one, off of the confirmation, because this was pretty strong here. Higher risk trade as well. Definitely looking back at it, and this is why it's good to take a look at your trades and really focus on where your entries are. I definitely got in at the bottom of this candle, but still riskier because the realistically this is like kind of a negative R to R here. Entry is about here, stop is a break below, take profit is up here. Did actually end up top ticking this, so it wasn't too bad of a risk to reward here. Definitely was about a 1.5 risk to reward, so can't complain too much. That was the second trade I took for the day. The first trade I took for the day was this Tesla short. Um, Ended up taking, I believe this one was two contracts. So took two contracts on Tesla here. The entry criteria for this trade was going to be the 5-minute range low, break and retest. Felt confident taking this trade and scaled well. So this was a loser, unfortunately. Small loser because I did end up getting a low of day scale off. But basically, how this trade played out was got a 5-minute low retest. Boom. Ended up getting weak price action off of this level. Took a short into this candle here after the closure of this one. Ended up scaling a little bit before low of day again on the body candles of again on the body candle. I don't normally wait for the wick because of the lower volume, lower probability of playing out in some cases. So scaled one into that level, wasn't able to get the second scale off because we did not actually hit low of day. Ended up reversing on me, closed out for a small losing trade. No big deal. That's pretty much wraps up my Friday. So now we can move on to um, Monday. Okay, so this was a swing trade. This does not count for Monday's on P&L, and did end up closing the day for about $60 profit. First trade I ended up taking, um, first trade I ended up taking was around 10:01. This was a Tesla call entry. Um, this entry criteria, let's take a look at the entry criteria I have here. 5-minute range, break and retest, did not make much profit because the contracts did not move well. Did follow my rules, emotions were 6 out of 10. Pretty solid trade here. Unfortunately, because the contracts weren't moving the best, wasn't able to squeeze out much profit. But you could clearly see here, took the entry off of the strong price action. Boom, 5-minute range high. So after the candle closure here, we did end up getting a few pullbacks, didn't quite touch the 5-minute range high. Ended up catching a long on the strong price action off of this level. Now, I did get a pretty not the best entry because right here I did get filled roughly around somewhere in the middle of this body candle. So the risk would have been just a break below the 5-minute range low. So we got candle closure below the 5-minute range low. I would have stopped out of that position. Decent R to R, wasn't too bad. I would say I would rate this trade roughly about a 7, a 6 to 7 out of 10 entry model wise because it was a little bit further away from the level of interest than I would have liked it, but did end up working out. Did see quite a bit of drawdown on the entry here. Um, and the truth is, actually saw a little bit more drawdown than I did see upside on this trade, which is a little bit strange considering the option contracts were not moving the way I would have liked them to. Um, and you can kind of see the way the option contracts were moving on this chart here. Clearly see lost a lot more on this drop than on this pickup, although price was well past the previous day high. The option contracts did not move and reflect that. And then did end up getting a little bit of a better scale on the second pickup up here, which again, a little bit strange, almost break even, about a $30 difference on the cons, not really reflecting the underlying chart, which was a little bit frustrating at the time. But I did end up calling it a day there for Monday. I did take a swing at the close on Monday, so I ended up buying that con at about 414. I was up quite a bit. It was a good entry, but market ended up gapping up overnight. Unfortunately, was down about 50% on this contract. Did end up closing it out at the open for a loss. Never would have recovered until really today on that position. So definitely was a good cut. Now going into the day trades for Tuesday. So this was a big losing day. Lots of losing trades on this name here on Amazon as well as on QQQ later on in the day. Um, so first things first, this was a 5 minute high break and retest on Amazon. The emotions were around a 7 out of 10 because of the loss on SPY. Was a little bit annoyed about that, but didn't feel like I wasn't in the right frame of mind to be trading, so I still took the entry. So the pre-market high break and retest is definitely not as high confidence of a trade as the 5 minute high break and retest. So I can see in hindsight now why this trade did not work out. Um, so basically the pre-market high is about 214. I did end up taking the entry on the strong price action after the closure of the 214 or the 936 candle. I did end up taking the entry on the 937 candle. Did end up getting to high of day, but didn't take any scales off. A little bit too fast of a moving trade for me to get anything off. So did end up taking the loss on the break below this pivot structure here. I was targeting a 1-to-1. So the entry model here was targeting this as the stop and was looking for just a little bit more continuation to take some off above high of day and then ride maybe another one or two of these contracts. I would have let ride a little bit further for a little bit more continuation. Unfortunately, did not work out once again because of the choppier price action that we're getting in this market. And that was a $290 loss. Amazon Reclaim. So this one was the one that definitely put me on tilt for Tuesday. The Amazon 5 minute high range reclaim. So I didn't actually end up taking this trade off of the pre-market high. I took it on the break and retest of the high of day level. So basically once we broke above, we got that immediate retest above high of day. I did end up taking a call entry above high of day for just a little bit of continuation once again with the stop below um the stop just a break below the pre-market high. Unfortunately, once again, did not get any continuation above that level. My entry was here, was the break and retest of that level with the strong price action. Was looking for a little bit of continuation above that level, targeting a 1-to-1. Did not get any bullish price action above the level. Barely saw any profit whatsoever, and we did end up having to stop out of that trade as well for another um 200, I believe 260. Yep, $260 loss. And then QQQ, this one was definitely more of a tilt entry. This was a reclaim entry of the previous day low. So this wasn't previous day low, it reclaimed the previous day high. So definitely was a tilt entry. Definitely was a tilt entry. If it would have been previous day low, that would have been a little bit more of a better trade here. But I did take it on the retest above this level. This really was the stop. Very low risk trade. And I was targeting this level here. Never ended up getting there, ended up getting a break above, did not stop out, was holding my position for way too long. Once we kind of got this break and retest of the previous day high again, we kind of retested this level, this area here, and we got this strong price action. I did end up closing out of my position before going into more drawdown. Somewhat discernment, but definitely should not have taken this trade. And then it ended up hitting my take profit later on in the day, just only like 20, 30 minutes after. So, or about an hour after, really. So definitely was frustrated. Definitely wasn't, definitely didn't have the best trading day yesterday. And I am looking to come back during this FOMC price action. So I will be reviewing the trades that I take today, um, probably tomorrow. So watch out for that video. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.